Hey everybody, Mark Masters here. We are starting up this show. Let me figure out where our guest is. Let's see. Let me get the link. We'll send that off, and that's not right. Okay. So we're solo right now. It is Monday, May 6th. We got a comic who's supposed to hop on. Let's see. Let's figure out. I had a kind of wild weekend. We got a hello from North Carolina. Hello. We could use some questions, Mark, to fill this space. So I had a weird thing happen on Friday. I got a website contact form email that said there was a comic looking for an opener in Denver that night. Are you available? And I actually am available. I have the festival at the end of the month. I've been working almost full time on that. And so I don't have really anything booked in the month of May, or at least up until a few weeks ago, I didn't. I'm actually traveling a little bit coming up here, which is unexpected. But anyway, so I got this request and I was kind of excited, like, oh, cool. Somebody needs me and I am available in like 6 hours and it's in town. So I wrote back and said yes. And then it turned out that this person was not the comedian or the agent of the comedian. It was just the comic had posted maybe on Facebook or something. And this was a fan who then started Googling for clean comedians in Colorado and found me. By the way, the comedian that I was supposed to open for was Sammy Obeid. Funny guy. I did some online stuff with him during the pandemic. Don't know much about him. So I ended up talking to this person who emailed me on the phone, and they explained that they weren't really a representative of the comic. And I said, all right, that's fine. Have a great weekend. So I didn't expect to hear anything. But then I got a note that said, hey, I gave your number to Sammy and he's going to be reaching out. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then Sammy texted me, this is the headliner, and said, here's the deal. And I had done some research. I looked this up. The guy was doing 2 shows in Denver at some event space. And so I was like, this is great. I'm going to like feature for this guy on 2 shows. Maybe that's like 20 minutes of stage time. Anyway, so the guy texts me, Sammy, the headliner, and he offers me, let's just call it X dollars. I'm not going to say exactly what it was. It was a fair amount of money. It wasn't a ton of money. It wasn't an insulting amount of money. And he said, we just need your help between shows, and we'll give you an 8-minute guest spot. Or he didn't say how much time. He just said a guest spot on the Late Show. And I was kind of like, I had plans I had to get out of. And so I just wrote him back very politely and declined. Basically, I said, I can find somebody for you who's a better fit for just basically like cleaning up trash between shows and doing a guest spot, which on a better day, I think you should say yes to everything. And by the end of this story, you'll realize that that's the move. So anyways, I said no. And he said, thank you. We got the venue to help out. We're going to be just fine. So I was like, that's cool. All right. Nothing lost. Maybe I'll work with this guy down the road. I wasn't rude or anything. And then I just on a whim, like an hour later, I texted him and I said, hey, what is the venue? How many seats does it have? And how much are they charging you, if you don't mind sharing? Because I'm trying to book an event space show later this year, or I had been, but I couldn't find a space that was good for 150 seats. I was trying to find 150 seat space. I found a couple of places, but they were already booked in September. So I asked him this question, and he says 300. And I want to say $2,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but 300 is pretty big. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, what? And somehow in here, it comes out that the first show is sold out. So this guy has sold 300 tickets. And so at this point, I kind of I backtrack and I text him and I go, "Hey, I'd love to see this space. If the offer is still available, I'll do it." And I said something funny in there, and he wrote me back. He said, "Sure, we'd love to have you." So at that point, we're 4 hours from showtime, and I show up like halfway through the first show because I want to see the space. He also said he'd introduce me to the owner of the space, which is great. I'm always looking for new spaces. I'd never been to this intersection in Denver. It was very sketchy. And I show up there. Sure enough, there's 300 people there. This dude is printing money. He's running his own show. He sold 300 tickets to the first show. And sure, he's got to pay $2,000, but it's $30 a ticket. That's $9,000. He's clearing $7,000 and he's paying people, not much out of that. And obviously there are other expenses you got to deal with. And he's, deserves that money. He's able to pull 300 people on a Friday night to a warehouse in Denver. That's incredible. So there ended up being about, I'd say 200 people on the late show, which was incredible for me. I mean, it's only 8 minutes, but that was great. I've got this 5 minutes. I'm trying to work out. I had so much fun doing that 8-minute spot. And I helped in between shows. I ended up selling merch and cleaning up a little bit of trash. And it definitely wasn't worth the money. I was there probably 3 hours in total, maybe even a little bit more. And but man, it was so fun. So say yes to everything if you can, but also live your life. That's what I was thinking at the time. I was like, you know what? I don't need to do this. I have other opportunities. I had a show the next night. And in retrospect, I'm really glad I did it because the show the next night, there were 12 people in the audience, a little more humbling. So the first night, and even though I got 12 minutes on that one, so 50% more time, I would much rather 8 minutes for 200 people than 12 minutes for 12 people. I think that's probably pretty common. Let me see if this guy has emailed back. What's happening here? No. No. What the heck, dude? Where are you? Let's see. I wonder if I might have his phone number somewhere. No, nothing. All right. Well, we might, I don't know. Maybe we'll just keep this a short episode and I can go live my life, as I was just saying. So I did that 12-person show. What else can we talk about? We can talk about, let me look at my little calendar here, my little cheat sheet. Today is May 6th. So I talked about the weekend. We did those shows. That was wild, dude. That dude sold 500 tickets. That's insane. Let's see. Here's another little comedy lesson. One second. I was booked on a show last week, and about 10 days ahead of time, I just emailed the showrunner to confirm my spot. And this doesn't happen very often, but the showrunner wrote me back and said, you actually don't have a spot. I'll say, I won't gender the person, but they made a mistake and they like double booked. And, but they claim in their very nice email, they said, but when we get our new date for our next show, we'll have you headline it, which is pretty nice. But that happens sometimes. But the point is that one was going to be like an hour drive for me. So definitely confirm your spots if they're booked months in advance. Let's go. Let's see. We have a comment here. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, so to get back to the 500, the guy who sold 500 tickets. So I did a good job for him, and the audience loved me, and hopefully he'll, there might be an opportunity to do more time in the future, or who knows. It looks like he does this all over the country, popping up these shows. And the other guy that was on the show was filming it, recording it, and hosting it. And that's something that, I have all the equipment to do that because I film and record stuff. Oh, We should talk about we got plenty to talk about tonight. We're going to do this. This is going to be a good episode. We're going to talk about my shopping spree. I went on a almost $7,000 shopping spree for Vail Comedy Festival. It's crazy. Oh, and oh my goodness, we got to do this too. We're going to upload a picture here. Let's see. There we go. Check this out. This is the most exciting thing I did today, and we'll talk about it. Can you see this? This is downtown Denver, and that is a billboard that I just purchased. It's a digital billboard. We'll show it one more time. Every 64 seconds for 8 seconds, a Vail Comedy Festival ad is going to play on that billboard for a week. Usually you have to buy a month at a time, which was a little expensive for me. But I did this thing where I just like reached out last week basically and said, hey, this event is coming up. Do you have any surplus inventory you're trying to get rid of on the cheap? We're going to sell out anyways. I don't really need it, which is half true. But I was basically expressing that I don't need to pay a premium for this advertising. And we negotiated a pretty good deal, I think, for me. And if the Denver Nuggets win tonight, that billboard is like half a mile from where they play, and it's NBA playoffs right now. And they will for sure be playing at least one game while that billboard is showing my ad 50 times an hour. And there's going to be crazy traffic jams getting in and getting out, and everybody's going to be looking at that billboard. So that's kind of fun and neat. So anyways, yeah, I spent a ton of money on festival stuff, which is crazy. And part of it, camera and audio recording equipment. And to loop it back to that guy, I did a good job. I was polite, I was friendly, and maybe someday he'll be in North Dakota and think, oh man, who do I know within a couple 100 miles? And hopefully he remembers me, looks me up, and we can leverage it. And I learned a lot. Like I would like to be that person selling 500 tickets. All right, our Twitch stream is down, everybody. I don't think we get very many viewers on Twitch, but anyways, if you just tuned in, looks like some people did. We are down a guest. We're missing our guest, and I'm just doing a solo episode. If I can change this. No, I can't change the title. I'll do it later tonight. I'll change the title of this to say solo episode. Maybe I'll mention the billboard. That seems to be a good teaser. Or maybe at the end, Mark, you can pop in with what you think the right title for this is. Usually I'll try and do something attention grabbing. Is it why to say yes to gigs? Is it I spent a ton of money on festival gear, or I bought a billboard? I think the billboard's probably the most unique thing. Let me see if this guy's written me back. Nope, he hasn't. So we can talk about gear for the festival. So here's what's going on. I have to buy 2 of everything. So the festival, the way it works is it's like a sequence of my monthly shows. And at my monthly shows, I show up to a place that is not a comedy club. Could be a barbecue restaurant, could be a bar. Sometimes when I'm on the road, it's a bowling alley or a pinball arcade. And I have a stage, and I have sound equipment, and I have lighting, and I have recording equipment, and I turn it into a comedy club. And so during the festival, that's what we do time and time again. We'll do a 90-minute comedy show. We'll put everything into a hand cart, drag it a block to another venue, set it up. Half an hour later, another show starts. We go for 90 minutes. This year in Vail Village, they're having a bluegrass festival the same time as the comedy festival. And our ability to hand cart equipment between one specific venue and all the other venues is, let's just call it difficult. I won't know until I see it. It might be impossible. So the solution is I'm just buying a second copy of everything so I can pop up, so I can have a set of equipment at this one venue and just leave it there the whole weekend. And that might seem wasteful, but the reality is I hope it opens up more doors, just like saying yes to that opportunity this weekend. Once I have the equipment to run 2 shows simultaneously, maybe in the future when somebody hits me up and says, hey, I want you to run a show for me. And I'm like, well, I'm already running my own show. Well, maybe I'll just lend the equipment to some responsible comics and they can go run it. And I'll have a new relationship with the venue. Maybe I'll skim a little money off the top. and maybe that'll be useful. Also, this fall, I'm planning a new festival where I'm hoping to run simultaneous shows in different cities, and I'll need that second set of equipment. So we'll see what happens with that. So I bought all duplicates of everything. I bought some new stuff. I got a newer fancy camera and lens that I already have pretty nice stuff, but hoping that especially in low light situations, it does a good job. So that's that. Let's scroll back. This is going pretty well for a solo episode. Maybe I should do some jokes. Let's do and then we'll get into some. We'll get back into some show stuff. But let me see what I've written into my little notes. Things to write jokes about. We'll do some premises here real quick. Oh, how about this? The Airbnb Up House. Have we heard of the Airbnb Up House? It's this house on a crane, and I want to write a joke about I don't know, something where the punchline is I'm gonna walk out the front door of the Airbnb Up House. So it's like a misdirect. I don't know, which would be, what are they doing? Are they like double deadbolting that door? Like, what if somebody climbs out a window? They're like 300 feet in the air. They're gonna die. Is it in the handbook for Airbnb? Do not open front door, back door, any window. Do not leave the property at any time. If you need groceries, we'll drone them in to you. I don't know, something like that. Also, I wrote this joke. I don't know if you can call it writing. I was walking to the venue, on Saturday night, and I told this joke on stage that I came up with as I was walking, and this is basically the joke. The joke is, I would like to be a woman. And when I said that on stage, somebody shouted out, "Why?" Which is perfect because I needed. Well, that's interesting. Apparently, Twitch is working, and I don't know if that's sarcasm or real, but anyways, so I want to be a woman, and somebody was like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I just think I'd binge listen to a lot of murder podcasts, and if I was lucky, fingers crossed, I'd be married to a retired Boeing engineer, and it would be so easy to get after that sweet 401k." So that's a topical joke. I'm remembering now why online comedy is hard. There is no audience feedback, but that joke did surprisingly well for a joke I wrote 20 minutes before the show. So, all right, there's a little break. We are still missing our guest. I don't think they're going to check in, but now I'm going to leave the material. Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong thing. And I'm going to go to my little calendar and we'll see what else we've done recently. We already talked about the show I said no to and then yes to, and should have said yes to all along. We talked about the show with 12 people. We talked about the show that I was booked for but didn't do because I ended up not being booked on it. Let's see. Oh yeah, I did a brewery show a week prior to Saturday. So about, what is that, 8-9 days ago. That was kind of fun. I don't know what was interesting about that. The lighting was so bright at that show that it not only me but other comics were thrown off. I could tell, like, people would get confused, like, because there's something. It's weird. Your brain can only process so much, and when you can't see anything, it impacts your ability to tell jokes. So that was a little weird. I don't think I did anything interesting material wise at that show. The only interesting thing really is after the show, I run around and said hi to some people, and somehow Montana came up, and there was somebody with family in Montana, and I got them to sign up for my email newsletter. So I go to Montana at least once a year to do comedy, and it's a big place, but a small place. So hopefully some of those people come out. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I got that wrong. It was North Dakota. They're from North Dakota, and they have family in North Dakota. Okay, we got a question from the audience. You mind running through what kind of gear you bought? Great question. Sure. Extension cords. Some of those power cube things. They have like 6 power outlets on them. I bought new uplights. Those are like what do you call them? They're battery powered. They run for like 8 hours. They've got 6 LED lights in them. They're very bright, and you can change them to like 40 different colors. So usually, like at Vale, I'll have one yellow, one blue on each side of the stage. It's kind of a silly thing, but it adds to the production value, and I really believe in it. I think when the audience comes and it like looks like a legitimate comedy show, it helps the comics, and just everything is. Yeah, I'm pro production value. You want to look like you've put some effort into the show. So I got those up lights for the second stage. Oh my gosh, I bought so at a typical Vale comedy show, like when I run one in Eagle, Colorado, we do a pop up there. I have a big backdrop that's got like Vale comedy art on it, and I put 2 roll up banners in front of it, and so I could have bought another backdrop and some banners, but instead I bought this. Like if you ever go to like a convention, like the sales booths, they have these like pop up things with fabric on them, and they look like very professional signs. And it cost an embarrassing amount of money, but I basically bought a new Vale comedy backdrop that I can like carry in a case and erect and assemble. And I've only seen one other show do this, and I remember being very impressed. It's huge. I think it's 10 feet wide and 9 feet tall, or something like that. And it was outrageously expensive. But this is another reason why I'm buying 2 of things. In some cases, I'm buying nicer versions. Like for example, the timers. So I bought timers. I have they're CrossFit timers. You can Google CrossFit timer, a million options. They're incredible. They come with remote controls. You put them on up mode. It starts at 0 and you hit go at the start of each comic set, and it counts up seconds, minutes. If they're doing 20 minutes, they just got to get off before it hits 20. Nobody can run the light. There's no excuses with these timers. The problem is when I this is so funny. When you press the remote to control the CrossFit timer, it changes the color of the uplights that I was just describing. They have the same instruction set or whatever. That they by accident, the remote for the CrossFit timer controls the light, which is not desirable. Yeah, I set the lights to specific colors, and it changes the colors in the middle of the show. So I end up having to it's like RFID. It's not like line of sight. It's like the invisible laser rays or whatever will go through my body. I've experimented with cookie sheets. It will go through a cookie sheet to control the thing. There's no stopping this. So I bought 2 new timers that have a different remote control. And I'm hoping that remote control will not also control the lights. And if that's true, I'll give the old timers to somebody else. And then I'll have upgraded my timing situation. If they do control, by the way, I'll just return to the large online retailer that I bought them from. So timers was another thing. I bought a new stage, and I thought a lot about buying a different type of stage, but for a very specific reason, I bought the same exact 3 foot by 3 foot gray carpet top stage with an 8-inch riser. It's like $300 for the stage, and maybe almost 200 for the riser, and $100 to ship it. So it's like $600 for this thing. But now that I have 2 of them that are identical, they actually can latch together. And so I can have a 6 foot wide by 3 feet deep stage. And it makes for good jokes for the audience, but comics are always joking about how tiny the stage is, which is a little frustrating because I get survey feedback and people are always like, oh, why don't you get a bigger stage? And the thing is, you need the stage to be able to fold up and fit in your car. And if it's bigger, you can't carry it. The thing weighs maybe 40, 45 pounds, which I can carry. If it weighed 100 pounds, now we're getting out of my ability to carry. So I think we're going to finish this episode out. And this guy has just completely missed his spot. What a bummer. But that happens. Let's see, any other gear. So I bought a fancy camera. I can't really speak to what that is, but I'm thinking about getting a gimbal for it. That's like this thing you can like move the camera around, and it's constantly adjusting the camera so that the what you're seeing is level and solid. I don't know the word. I'm not good about talking about camera stuff. I bought a new Zoom recorder, some XLR cables, another mic, SM58, Shure SM58. That's the best mic they have. Yes, like a stabilizer. That's exactly what it is. A gimbal, Gimbal. I looked briefly into a crane, so I could do like a shot over the audience. I may circle back to that. We'll see. Um, I really believe in you got to spend money to make money, and I'm making this festival as awesome as possible so that people want to come back next year, and it just grows and grows and grows. So we had another question, more chairs. I did not buy more chairs. In fact, I lost my latest venue. I've lost three venues now where I use the chairs, and now I don't have any use for the chairs anymore. I'm sure I'll find a use for them again, but excuse me. At the moment, I have 50 chairs and I have zero use for them. But good to have them. I won't need more chairs. I might bring them up to the festival for our late shows, but it's kind of a hassle to deal with. Trying to think if there's any other interesting. Oh, I bought some. This is kind of fun. I got to. I'll answer that question in a second. I bought some merch. Basically, I bought some new hoodies, sweatshirts. I bought them locally. Here's a little trick. If you use one of these huge national companies, they end up, just to save on shipping, they end up using local companies and just taking a huge cut of the money. And so I bought the hoodies for the second year in a row from a company in Eagle County, which is where Vail is located. I feel like that's kind of the right move. Kind of like what's that saying? Like a penny wise, pound foolish, I think is what it is. Because I did spend way more money on a big online retailer yesterday than that money I spent on the hoodies. But anyways, felt kind of good to shop local with that. And then I bought pens, and I bought like 1,000 of them. So I'm going to have them forever. They say Vail Comedy Festival. They're yellow and blue. They look kind of like San Diego Chargers pens, but they have a white alpaca Vail Comedy Festival logo on them. I should get them in like a week. They have a minimum order, so I have a lot of them. I'm going to have them forever. And I bought notebooks, which I'm kind of excited about. Like Vail Comedy Festival notebooks. I'll give them as gifts to each of the comics. I think I bought like a couple hundred. So we'll have like 30 to 40 comics I can give them to. So we'll take a couple years to go through them. But I think those are good. They're good to have. Some good swag. I still have beanies, which are winter caps from years previous. Boy, we got to wrap this up. Holy cow. All right. Are you going to have to compete with the other festival next year? Complicated question. Short answer, I don't know. I think that competing is the wrong attitude. I'm having a very positive attitude about it, and honestly, because I was able to resolve that problem by buying more equipment, probably okay with me if they have that festival again next year. It's supposed to draw thousands of people to Vail. Some of those people are going to become my customers. So that there has been some drama and some stuff that wasn't great, but at least once a month, I have had a conference call with the organizer of that festival, and we've really tried to work together and find ways to like synergize. Is that the fancy word? Synergize between I mean, we haven't come up with a ton, but we are going to put comics on their stages to introduce bands and do some clean material. And that will, that can only help me because it's going to spread the word about the comedy festival. And yeah, I sold $1,000 in festival passes today. So things are trending in the right direction. Things are looking up, but not for today's pod, because this Ohio comic did not show up. He's still not here. And we're going to wrap this up. We'll be back next week. Let me see if I can look at my little Magic 8 Ball and see who's who's up next week, see if I think they're reliable, and we'll definitely have them here. No, next week is not a live episode. I'm going to be on an airplane next week. That's a bummer, but you're going to get an amazing episode with a great showrunner who runs an incredible show in a sushi restaurant that's been going forever, maybe 10 years. I'm sure we talk about it. We recorded it a couple months ago. I save a couple episodes for these situations. But so next week, not a live episode, but going to be a good one. All right, we're going to sign off. Nice closing note from Mark in North Carolina. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next week on Always Bookin Comedy.